All right, I'm with Sportsnet's Mendes after an exciting Game 1 that had everything, and after Ottawa and Montreal haven't met in the modern day, I saw you tweet it. It was basically everything you can ask for in one game.
Yeah, I think it was, and I think that Game 1 didn't disappoint. People were wondering when would the hatred and sort of that get ratcheted up. It took only a period and a bit before it did, and I think the story of this game is Craig Anderson. I know that the Greiba hit on Eller is going to take the headlines, but Craig Anderson, on a night when Ottawa was dominated, especially the second period, Craig Anderson basically steals them the game, and now you start to wonder if Montreal fans are going to get restless here for Game 2 on Friday night.
Yeah, Craig Anderson stopped 27 shots in the second period and lost a tooth in his game. Let's talk about that Greiba hit, though, on Lars Eller. Paul McLean said it's just a hockey play gone bad.
Yeah, and I think, if you look at this objectively, which I know is hard for a lot of people to do, especially in this area where it's half Habs fans and half Ottawa fans, I think I joke that maybe only Leafs fans are the ones who can objectively look at this hit because they hate both teams. But I think if you do look at this objectively, Eric Greiba doesn't target the head. Eric Greiba doesn't go after Lars Eller. Yes, Lars Eller's in a vulnerable position, but I don't think that you can fault Eric Greiba on as a hockey player, you're trained to hit a guy, and the puck was there. Is it interference? Maybe. But is it a 5-minute major and a game misconduct? That's penalty enough. And people are saying, well, if Andrew Ferentz got suspended, well, Eric Greiba should get suspended. Here's the big difference. Andrew Ferentz's play went unpenalized at the time, and I think Brendan Shanahan had to do something. Eric Greiba was penalized. He got 5 in a game. That's massive. Ottawa played the back half of this game on Thursday night with 5 defensemen. That, to me, is punishment enough.
The big difference, obviously, is Greiba didn't leave his feet. He didn't have the elbow up, and it wasn't directly at the head as Ferentz's elbow was. But let's go back. The Sens get this momentum back. The Montreal crowd had the Habs in it with the 5-on-3 power play. The Montreal went up 2-1, but how did Ottawa shut that down and come back?
The key to this game is the third period. It's Jakob Silfverberg's goal, because the minute Jakob Silfverberg scores that goal, the seed of doubt is planted, not only in the mind of Carey Price, which is obviously first and foremost, but in the mind, I think, of the Montreal Canadiens players who start to think, oh boy, Carey struggled a little bit down the stretch. Maybe it's a here we go again situation. And of course, what happens? A couple minutes later, Mark Mathot on a play that it looked like to me the puck was going to go over the net if Carey Price doesn't reach out and stab at it, and it goes in the net. And then Guillaume Latendresse, obviously, with the killer. But to me, it goes back to the Silfverberg goal, because that's a deflator. That's a goal in the Stanley Cup playoffs when you're up on home ice in Game 1 and you're up by a goal. You can't let that goal in. And Carey Price knows that. He's been in this situation. He knows he's in the pressure cooker. But to me, that's the moment of when this pendulum swung in Ottawa's favor.
And Guillaume Latendresse with the bittersweet insurance marker?
Yeah, it was certainly an awkward goal for Guillaume Latendresse, where he crashes the net and comes in, and for him, I think that's really a big moment for Guillaume Latendresse. And here's a guy that was a first-round pick of the Montreal Canadiens that probably 7 years ago thought, this is going to be my home for life, and I thought this is where I'm going to be an NHLer, and it didn't work out for him here. He went on to Minnesota. It didn't really work out for him there, and he's come to Ottawa, and at times it hasn't worked out for Guillaume Latendresse, but it certainly worked out in Game 1 on Thursday night.
All right, so the Sens get the win. Now they have home ice advantage. What do they do for Game 2?
Well, I think if you're Ottawa, you gotta look at this realistically. They got outplayed for large stretches of the game, especially in the second period. So I don't think they can just hang their hat on the fact, well, we won Game 1 with the same game plan. Well, no. Hold on here. They weren't that good in Game 1. As I went off the top, the key was Craig Anderson. So Ottawa, you're not going to win very many games when you allow the opposition to shoot at you 50 times. That guy goes for regular season and playoffs. They got to cut that down to more like a 30, 35 shot night against. And obviously, you can't also bank on the fact that Carey Price is going to let in goals from the perimeter. And I don't think that Ottawa, in my opinion, had a ton of quality scoring chances tonight. They happened to capitalize on some weak goals from Carey Price. So if I'm Ottawa, if I'm Paul McLean, I say, look, guys, you're lucky to win Game 1. Let's refocus here and get back to playing a little bit better in Game 2.
All right, with Sportsnet's Mendes after Game 1, the Sens win it and take a 1-0 series lead.